Bro, I think they need to turn it up a little bit more if you could. Okay. I don't think the representatives that we're going to show, they all canceled. Imagine that.
May we ask who was planning to show up? Because I think that's probably a big question of representatives that were going to be present today.
That'd be a question for Joe.
All of them that were here in Bourbon County that kind of asked for us to do this said they couldn't make it tonight.
Who is they?
Who was they though?
Shane, golly, Tim, Shane, Schallenberger. There we go. Those guys, yeah. Trevor, I never heard from Trevor.
Trevor's right there.
Yeah, I think Trevor would be here. I'm just gonna say positive things about you because every time I've been at Topeka, that man's there. You know, I heard you're leaving us.
I am.
Well, sorry to hear that, but I'm glad you're here. So yeah, so a lot of folks couldn't make it. So what I told them I would do is I would come here. Please don't shoot the messenger. I have no dog in the fight. And there is no fight. It shouldn't be a fight. This is all about water, and this is all about Kansas. And anyone who knows me knows there's not too many people on the planet that love Kansas more than I do. Some of you might, I'll tell you in a minute. Some of you might like Kansas as much as I, but nobody likes it more than I, okay? My name is Joe Bazzone. I'm a local entrepreneur in the city, and I own a lot of ground out here. I've owned farms in Hammond and Fort Scott and Mapleton for about 25 years now. A lot of you guys farm with me. A lot of you guys share crop with me. A lot of you guys run cattle with me, and a lot of you guys hunt with me. And when I mean guys, I'm saying it generically, guys and gals. And a lot of you just come for dinner, right? For breakfast. So basically what we're going to do is open this up to folks that we want to talk about three things, and that's it. The pros and opinions of people in the community that have positive thoughts about why a lake should be here. The lake is roughly 4,000 acres. The ground is roughly 10,000 acres. I can tell you that my opinion, and I've made this very clear to them, until they do a complete study, this is almost silly. However, I do think that our community should be able to give them our feelings towards what we think should happen out here. Because most of us that live here or spend most of our time here, you know, we should have a say. So they're open to that. Our government's open to that. The state's definitely open to that. Lieutenant Governor told me numerous times he was definitely in favor of hearing what the community had to say. I know the governor is as well. So pros here, and then why we shouldn't hear. That's basically it. We have two people that are going to scribe for us. One is a lobbyist from Topeka. He just happened to be in the audience. I don't. And the other one is our wonderful chamber lady. So they're going to scribe and write down everything, and then at the end, what we may do is ask you if you have questions, and we'll write down those questions, and we'll make sure they get to the appropriate people. We're here for positive. There is no negative today. If you want to be negative, go home.
What's the point of having a cons board?
A cons board is not for negative.
Negative here. I mean,
Well, it's not for negative, sir. A con is why we shouldn't or should do. Okay, so if you think we shouldn't because we're going to kill trees, then that's something you should talk about. If it's frogs, you know, I built a lake 15 years ago right here in this community. It's a 40-acre lake, and the federal government came out and said I couldn't build my pond because we had red-eared frogs, and red-eared frogs are an endangered species. So I had to negotiate with the federal government. I had to build a red-eared frog pond. So for those of you who don't know, Mapleton has a red-eared frog pond. We have one because I built it. and we filled it with red-eared frogs with the federal government and the state government, and the 40-acre lake was allowed to be built. So that's what the cons are, not the negative side of cons. They're just reasons maybe we shouldn't do it. There could be cemeteries involved. There could be Indian burial grounds involved. We don't know that as a community. We need to gather those information, and we need to be able to talk to the state and our officials about that. Because there are concerns from us. No, a lot of people don't realize this, but without the people, we don't have America. So right now I feel proud, because right now you might be making history. It might not happen for 10 years, but you're making history because you're here and voicing your opinion about something in your community that maybe you can do something positive or negative about. Those things are going to come out over time. So without further ado, I'd just like to open it up to who wants to start us with pros or cons? Yes, sir.
One of them I think to be real concerned with is the Indian artifacts. And they run from probably 3 highway clear to Fulton that I know of, and continue. I mean, I don't know how many Indian cemeteries there will be for them, but they've got to be there. They will be on the lower hills before they would be on the highest hill. And I think you could probably flood a lot of that.
I spent a lot of time with one of my friends, Jimmy and Blair, on his property, and we collected many Indian artifacts. We had bagfuls, right, Ian? And you're right, thank you. See, that's the kind of stuff we need to put down as a potential con.
Hey, Joe.
Who else? Yes, sir.
Can you give us the scope of the project?
The scope of the project, until they do a study, complete study on it, I don't think they have a scope. What they have is a projected project that was shown by the federal government about 12 years ago, and then again about 7 years ago. No one brought it up, and I think one of our local reps brought it up. Tim Schallenberger, was that his name? Brought it up, and he said that they were going to look at doing it. And he got a bunch of phone calls, and people got angry because they didn't know anything, and we still don't know anything. But they need to do, first and foremost, a feasibility study. So we're highly recommending that as a positive. Let's do a feasibility study. Let's know the scope of this project before we all run around saying, oh, you're going to take my house away, or you're going to take, Hidden Valley. Well, I heard Hidden Valley is going to be lakefront property worth millions of dollars. But that doesn't mean anything because we don't know until there's a feasibility study. We just don't know. Hate to say that.
There's a con. How
Yes,
do
sir.
you put a price on people's family legacies? People that have been in agriculture for maybe over 100 years.
I agree.
I mean, they're not making any more land.
Yep.
At what price are you going to sell land they're not making anymore?
I couldn't agree with you more. I own a lot of it right here. Yes, sir.
My name's Ed Smith, and I don't live down here, but my granddad Smith bought 160 acres just southwest of Hidden Valley Lake. Back in like 1910, that ground's been passed to my dad, my uncle, my aunt. They have passed. That ground's been passed on to myself, my brother's sisters, my cousins. This isn't just ground, guys. This is my family, and I love this ground. And I come down here all the time. We still run cattle. I still lease the ground for hunting. I lease the ground for farming. I mean, we take care of this ground, and we put a lot of effort into this ground. And I don't for any cost, I don't want to give it up. And that is a big con. Family legacy.
Thank you.
We've been here for a long time. And my wife, Kelly, is one of the ones that led all these angry phone calls. And we found out about this on the news. Nobody knew anything. All of a sudden, we're watching the news out of Topeka. That's our ground. What's going on? Who does that? What type of people just come up and say, this is the ground we want, and this is what we're going to do to it, and they don't mention it. You have no clue until it's happening. And that really is a con, too.
Well, that is a con.
And folks, that's why we're here. Okay, we're here to listen, and that's important. And obviously, without a feasibility study, we can't say what we think is good and what we think is bad.
Let me go first, please.
Huh?
Let me go. I only have a certain amount of energy.
Here we go.
So my name is Jack Ripper. I work for the Bourbon County Rural Water District. A couple of things I want to cover. First, we're going to end up having to move, if this happens, we're going to end up having to move lines. It's going to cost the taxpayer ultimately about $8 million to move the water lines. That money you've already paid by buying the water lines. I know we don't sell water directly to Mapleton, but you get your pressure from us. The things that I've read about this, both in Fort Scott Biz and in the bill, and I encourage you to look that bill up, are pretty disingenuous about the water that people can use. Because if it's used for recreation, that size of lake is too small then to use it for drinking water. The only other way that anybody could use that water would be if the state, in an emergency, allowed people to come in there and pump water out of the lake, which almost never happens in Kansas. So nobody in agriculture is going to get to use it, and that's almost everybody here. The other part of it that's bad is, okay, so Fort Scott did have a problem with water. We didn't. I had a lot, I couldn't figure out why, but I had a lot of calls over the years. Well, how low is the lake? How low is the lake? Well, the lake wasn't low. We had trouble providing water this summer simply because we were doing a remodel of the water plant, and we were running on one pump some days and not making water at all other days. But the only way Fort Scott's going to get that water is if they run a water line all the way to their treatment plant. Now, we're talking about moving 20 miles of line for us at a cost of about $8 to $9 million. How much is it going to cost to put a water line to Fort Scott? It's going to have to be a 12-inch line or bigger. So I know we're not supposed to be negative, but the only pros is if you happen to own part of that LLC and are going to make a lot of money. But for the rest of us, we're going to all get screwed. And that's I'm sorry for my French, but that's what's going to happen. Our taxes, if you're in Franklin Township in particular, are going to go up. There's also a deal in there talking about, oh, if they build these nice homes out here, it'll lower our taxes. Find me a place in the country that happened. I mean, that's just a lie. And I'm sorry, and I'm sorry I'm somewhat rude. My wife told me I am not allowed to cut, so I've done my best. But
Thank you. This is exactly why we're here, okay? And again, I'm just going to go back to, we have cons. Until we have a feasibility study, we really don't, all of us really don't know what it is. I don't think the government knows what it is, and that's where we need to start. This may show us that it's the right thing to do for some reason. I know I talked to some people out in western Kansas that were in the same boat with the aquifer, and today those families have nothing. It's dust, it's dirt, it's a dirt bowl, it's a hole. I'd hate to see that happen here. I have tremendous investment here, but that's why we need a feasibility study to know.
With all due respect, sir, you're comparing an apples to an oranges comparison.
No, I'm not comparing.
It's an underground water source.
I'm not comparing. I'm saying let's have a feasibility study so I know what I'm talking about, okay? Because right now I don't, honestly. So please don't shoot the volunteer. I'm a volunteer. Yes, ma'am.
My husband's family has had land in Bourbon County very near here for years. A lot of that land is still in the family. So if you've had land here for years, you have people that are buried here. My question is, they've already said they may have to move Stevenson Cemetery. Oh, no. And that to me is a problem. The map that they've shown is very vague, so we really don't know, other than Stevenson's, what other cemeteries might be involved, but that could be a very costly thing also. Not to mention the fact that somebody told me one day, and I know this is not a joke, but somebody told me one day, if they have to start moving cemeteries, so much for final resting place.
Thank you. Sir, I have no idea. The question here is this going to be a core lake or lake of the ocean? I have no idea. Like I said, from my standpoint, until we have a feasibility study, it's almost silly. But I do think that this is important, that community folks speak up, and this is great stuff. I'm not looking at it as a con. I'm looking at it as realistic. This is our livelihoods, folks. So if you want to talk about them, talk about them.
Can we add to the list where we talked about it, where there's a lack of communication? I think that's a big part of how we're all feeling.
Absolutely.
I feel like that's a big part of
Yeah,
adding
everybody's
that
feeling
to.
angry because it's like they don't even care what we
Yes.
think.
Yeah.
They didn't even ask. Hello, my name's Monty Carricker. I'm a rancher, not around here. I'm indirectly affected by this because of property taxes and everything. I don't know about you guys, but my taxes went up 25% last year, 30% the year before that. They're gradually taxing us out of production, is what they're doing. They're making it to where there's not enough meat on the bone and not enough profit to ranch and produce food. Now, I don't know about you folks. Joe, I just met you, and I don't want to make an enemy of you, but I'm sorry. The idea that you don't have any skin in this game is we know the operation you run. You run kind of an agritourism and hunting and stuff. You have a lot of skin in the game. You have much to gain from this. Now, as far as the feasibility study, like I said, before I was in ranching, I was career Navy. There's pros and cons to what we've done with the troops. We'd already decided what we were going to do. And we just wanted to make sure we get enough pros to weigh it out that way. And that's what way we're going to go. The feasibility study is the camel's nose in the tent. Okay? The camel's nose in the tent. The feasibility study is going to arrive at whatever conclusion the people who pay for the feasibility study want it to arrive at. Now, we're all grown-ups here. We all know how this works. Government's going to do what the government's going to do unless we fight like hell for them to not do it. Now, the idea that we're going to get some stock water out of this lake is ridiculous. If the state really wanted us to have enough stock water, they'd keep building the watershed ponds, which most of us are fans of, that provide stock water. But hey, nobody gets to put a jet ski on that. Nobody gets to drag a bass boat down from Kansas City.
We also
I'm
don't
sorry,
have
sir.
any watershed ponds on the Osage River.
No, there is no watershed ponds on the Osage River.
There's on Mill Creek and the
No,
Osage,
no.
but not on.
Because I went
or
to a
the-
meeting
Marvin.
several years ago, and they tried to do a watershed pond on the Osage, and it got shut down.
So
Kansas
let's
wouldn't have
call it what it is. And I saw you had something, a document. I read this earlier myself. This is from Virgil P. And this is to, let me see, this was the Adam C. Prophet, Director of the Budget for Kansas. Now I assume he has pretty good access to some pretty good economists. And the final sentence of that paper stated that they could find no advantage, how does it state it? No fiscal advantage for the cities and an unknown fiscal advantage for us out here. They can't even say whether it's going to help us straight up. So here's what I'm sure we're going to put up here on this pros board is this is going to make you all a bunch of money. You're going to be able to sell your family land and you're going to get paid through the nose for it. There's the pro, right? And then what? Because that's the end of it. This nice lady here told me about her family that lost their land for Table Rock.
No, we didn't lose it.
They built. Okay, I'm sorry. They built Table Rock. She grew up there, but the point is, it took how many years, ma'am?
Well, I'm 64, and Table Rock was built around 1966. And it wasn't until 1991 when 60 Minutes did a program and showed the entertainment that was going on down there, and it became the entertainment capital of the Midwest. So from 56 to 91, that place was a nice
can't hear.
The point,
Basically, what I'm saying is, my grandparents had one of the first cabins on Table Rock Lake. Very out there. As a child, of course, I did not know that land had been taken from people to build it. I would have been horrified. Table Rock was peaceful, quiet, until around 1991, when 60 Minutes did a program on the place. So we're going from 56 to 1991, before Table Rock became a fiscally economic place for the people. Lots of called public business. That's what they want here. That's not going to be years and years and years.
so the point is, they build this lake, and it may be decades before you actually see any of these supposed economic benefits if 60 Minutes does a piece on the lake and makes you famous. So that's what we're all hoping on. So can we put on this cons board undetermined economic benefit? Because I don't think anyone's made a case at all that any of us are going to benefit. Versus eminent domain.
Oh, that's not something I even could consider. I couldn't even imagine anybody doing that anymore. But I have no control over that. Yes, yes, sir. Or wait,
But
this.
just real quick, you can let everybody know that I've got copies of that paper he was referring to.
Oh, we have some
Just-
folks here to have copies of a
So,
lot of this information.
I can pass it out till it's gone after the meeting, okay? So they come to the yellow folder.
Yeah, after you guys all
And
that.
how many people here love the quiet and the silence around here? We came here for it. How many people love it? Do you guys want everybody coming in from the city?
That's a pro.
We don't want it.
What?
It's actually a pro, the quietness.
That's what I said.
No, that's not a pro for the lake.
Oh, no, toward the lake. No, it's a pro. It's a pro for the community.
Everybody here wants the silence, just like
Yes,
the guys
yes, sir.
now.
Come on up. Come on up. Step right up.
If they go and flood the river bottom land down there, all right, I already have a deer problem on my property. They've ate my beans down 2 years in a row. The insurance company had to pay for the seed, but that's about it. Well, if they flood all that land, how many deer and hogs are going to come uphill and start eating up everybody else's crops? Because I've lost 2 years in a row, and I don't know what I'm going to do, but if I get more deer and hogs, I mean, it's unimaginable. And it's going to make all them animals come up land, and they're going to kill everything. Because they've already did it on my property. Yep, hogs and deer, but the deer have been my biggest problem. I wish they'd fly a helicopter for me and start shooting them.
I just have a quick one to throw out there
good.
too. What about the infrastructure?
Yes.
Wait, what about the infrastructure? Are
Yes,
they
sir.
gonna build roads for it and everything else that needs to handle all the traffic that's gonna come
Well,
through that
I
way?
don't think I think we're just starting to ask for the feasibility study.
Yeah, I wanna see that.
I think Tim Schonenberger would love to have the community know that there's a feasibility study.
But who's asking for one provided?
We are, the people.
The people. Everybody.
I don't think the people
Well,
really want
I don't think,
feasibility study 'cause
I guess what we're,
National Park Service.
no,
I can't hear.
I don't even know who Pike is.
Well, you pick the name.
Well, nobody knows.
Well, when you look on the,
No one I've talked to knows.
when you look on Bourbon County, look up.
He asked who picked the name Pike.
Yeah, it doesn't
We're-
have anything with the pipe
Nobody
trail.
knows who
Yeah.
picked it.
There you go.
My concerns are, who's asking for the feasibility? Who's asking for the feasibility study on this? I grew up in Lynn County, and reading this, Pike's Reservoir. Well, you've got the National Park Service, you've got Biden's 30 by 30, you've got Pike's Trail going through, connect the dots. Then we pick Pike Reservoir with trails. My question is there going to be a hiking trail? and who's asking for the feasibility study. I was informed there's an investor in the Johnson County area that is also.
I have no idea. No idea. I'm from Johnson County. I can tell you, I'm not investing. I have no idea. I hadn't heard that before. That's why we're here. These are the questions I want to ask the state. I want to ask these questions. Trust me, I'm going to take that to the state and ask all those things.
Does everybody understand what the purpose of the feasibility study is? My name is Angel Cushing. I run Western Region Property Rights Coalition. Feasibility study is for the federal government. It's a requirement by the National Park Service for Congress as proof that the people want this. So once that feasibility study goes in, it's a done deal. All they have to do is get a congressman or a state representative to push that through. If you really want to stop this, you have to stop it before it gets to the feasibility study.
So we don't want
Once
it.
that money is spent, once that money is spent on that feasibility study as evidence, the purpose of a feasibility study is evidence that the people in the community wanted this project. Okay, but tell us, what do we have to do? So what you have to... Because there's a lot of people here that have no clue about this for just a few days If ago. you want to stop this, there's a few things that you can do. One is to do the protest petition under Kansas law, which is everybody that would border that whole area there. 20% has to file a protest petition in order to get a hearing. Generally, you should go to your county attorney, let him know what you're planning on doing. You do not need his permission, but it helps if he's helping you. Each petition has to be notarized with the personal property on it, and then that has to be submitted, and that'll draw a hearing. The other thing that you can do is resolutions as communities, because the purpose, again, of the feasibility study is evidence that the people want this. If you do a resolution, you can prove that in fact the people did not want this at all. And you can submit that to the state of Kansas. There is, we did this with the National Heritage Area and it worked. It killed the National Heritage Area. But the difference between a resolution and a letter, resolution is public record. Immediately, as soon as it's signed, any organization that has a board can do a resolution, whether that's a private entity like a church or a quilting club, or whether that is a county that can do a resolution. It becomes public record. The only way to repeal that resolution is if that same entity does another resolution repealing it. So there are things that you can do if you want to fight this back now. Now is the time.
What was your name?
My name is Angel Cushing.
And you're what?
I have Western Region Property Rights Coalition.
Thank you.
Thank you. Provide some guidance, point us in the right direction. Maybe
So everybody got a pen and piece of paper? My cell phone number, you ready? It is 785. I'll say it again. 785 569 1461. Angel Cushing.
say the number again real quick.
I got it.
I am on Facebook. You can find Angel Cushing on Facebook. To answer your question, if it went to the state, more than likely, in my opinion, it's a federal government that came down, found a representative that they were, as much as y'all want to be mad at Representative Schellenberg, remember that they are the first victims. Somebody sold him an excellent thought it would be a good idea, and he signed up for it. So the purpose that I came down here, yes, and Olson, the purpose I came down here is to try to figure out what names to use for Freedom of Information requests. Any of y'all can do that. So any government entity, you can drop a Freedom of Information request on. In my case, I want to drop it on the National Park Service, because right along this path of this lake is a proposed National Historic Trail that will become a National Park Service unit if it goes in. I have a feeling that the two are connected. So that is what I will be dropping Freedom of Information requests on. My number again is 785-569-1461. Angel Cushing, you can find me on Facebook as well.
And you said the people that
that we need to get, you'll help us with that?
Yes.
As far as those things? Okay, thank you.
Angel, that was awesome. Thank you. That was outstanding. That's the type of thing we need to hear. And we did write feasibility as a con now, just so you know, because that was very educational. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, Joe. Whitney Dameron. Hi, Paul. I'm Whitney Dameron. I am a government relations attorney in Topeka. I represent one of the landowners down here. I've worked with several more. I can tell you the only way the project can proceed is with eminent domain. There's no price Pipeline is willing to sell their land for, and I think several others feel the same way. You can't use eminent domain for economic development purposes. I've read Senate Bill 417. It was not scheduled for a hearing. It goes away here in 2 weeks. It would have to be introduced next year. From what I've seen with the Kansas legislature in the last 5 to 10 years, they're very supportive of personal property rights, and I don't see them supporting a project that would require eminent domain to succeed. And I don't think you would see a project going forward with the stalking horse vision of bringing water to a city, but the real purpose behind it is economic development, housing, and so forth, and developing the so-called Lake of the Ozarks of Bourbon County. So the groups I represent are opposed to the project and will continue to be so down here and in Topeka.
Amen.
Hey, there we go. That's why we're having this. All of us that were uninformed, we're getting pretty informed tonight. So when we hear all the gossip in the neighborhood, fill them in, because this is good stuff. Thank you very much, sir, for talking.
Hello, my name is Katie Bowers, and I'm going to give you two perspectives. The first is a resident of Valley Lake. This is Tracy Mayhew. She is our board manager for our HOA. My second perspective is I am on the HOA. We wanted to have a statement to release because there's a lot of misinformation. We are not an LLC. We're incorporated. And this is kind of our finding of facts and how our official statement on the matter of 4 board members. We had a 5th resign. So we were formed on April 25th, 1973. We are located over there. Most people know where Hidden Valley is. The details and plans of this were not discussed with the HOA prior to its release. It does propose the use of eminent domain to seize the properties. And that gentleman that spoke right before me was talking about 417, which did pass the House, I believe. Trevor, is that correct? It did it, and it died next year. Okay. Part of that bill was to state that the Secretary of Wildlife and Parks couldn't seize land unless it was already adjacent to like marshland properties that needed to be preserved. So the Department of Wildlife and Parks does not own Hidden Valley Lakes. We also wanted to state that SB 497 intends to impose taxes upon Bourbon County to finance the Pike Reservoir project. And we had a little bit of facts in here. According to BourbonCountyKansas.org, Fort Scott's current sales tax is 9.4. For reference, Overland Park has a sales tax rate of 9.1, and yet Bourbon County population is about 14,400. Yeah, and Overland Park's, and this is of 2022, Overland Park's estimate was over 197,000 people. So, get to my second page here. So our concerns, I guess, our cons were the proposed tax increments and their assessments do not consider multiple properties owned by one person. Therefore, a resident owning more than one lot or parcel of land may take a much higher tax penalty for funding than a single lot owner. In SB 497, it alluded twice to taxation for up to 20 years if the project is not done, nor the bonds paid in full. The cost was not defined, and I've been speaking with local landowners. The estimate of the cost to purchase land alone could equal up to $500 million or more. There was no clearly defined timeline for completion, so as a board member, first as a resident, I do not want to live on a lake where my dam is taken down and I live on a dry lake for however long. And finally, the term pay-as-you-go financing was used 5 times So that kind of indicates stop and go construction per monetary allotment, if we even got to that point. So our official statement is the residents of our lakes and preservation of the integrity of the properties are the board's priority and first concern. The taxes to be assessed, ambiguous deadlines, indefinite timelines for completion, indefinite planning for financing versus construction completion are all undesirable factors to consider. Therefore, considering the facts and concerns presented above, we do not and cannot in good conscience support SB 497 for Hidden Valley. And in addition to that, I am the daughter of farmers. I'm a granddaughter of farmers. And I cannot imagine having to face losing my property for something that I didn't agree to and I was not contacted with.
Awesome. That's why we're here. We gotta listen. I wish our government at the federal level would do this. Because we the people are why they're there, but you know, they don't do it. For this community, thank you guys. Thank you all for being here, and we're not over. Are you coming? Oh, yeah, here, we have another, no, absolutely not. Anyone?
My name is Jonathan Barbosa. I don't live directly into Franklin County or Franklin Township, sorry. I live here in Bourbon County, and I will live just south of this proposed lake. I just built a brand new shop, or barndominium if you will. I've worked my butt off to do this, and so has my wife. My kids love the peace and quiet out here. Most of this has been discussed, but I'm kind of losing my train of thought. So we will be affected by it probably more, and my kids will be affected by it more than a lot of us sitting here. My kids grow up out here in this peace and quiet. They enjoy it. My wife enjoys the safety out here. It's very safe. I've worked a lot in Kansas City. I've worked in Lake of the Ozarks. We built custom in-ground pools. A lot of that property is so expensive that you couldn't, like, to put this in perspective, we have a food trailer. We can sell 3 tacos for $9 and still have a little bit of profit in there, even though our taxes in Bourbon County are extremely high. When we was working there, 3 tacos were $20 at a much smaller amount of food. Just that is one little increment of tax. Our taxes will go up. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Eventually investors will come to buy our property, doze our house down, and build whatever, a gas station or whatever they need around there to support it. We, from what I understand, I get newsletters from Joplin Regional Stockyards. We're at a 73-year low in cattle numbers in the United States. There's a war going on in Ukraine. A lot of our wheat comes from there, believe it or not. A lot of fertilizer comes from Germany, Russia. We're not in a situation, even though this is a small community, 10,000 acres is a lot of ground. Most of you people have owned it most of your lives, which is very destructive. They're going to the cemeteries, they say, but only the headstones, not the people that are laying down underneath there. That's the most disrespectful thing I can think of. I don't have anybody buried out here that's related to me, and I'm highly offended by that, and I think it's very disrespectful. There's no peace in any of that. I know a lot of this was already discussed. I just had to voice my opinion as being probably one of the youngest kids here. There might be somebody here younger than me, I don't know. But a lot of things that were said on here, I feel come from my heart that would really, really, really affect us all in the wrong way. I don't see any benefit in this at all for the local community, for any of our kids, any of our grandkids, anybody beyond that. So I don't know, I just had to, I couldn't sit back there. I heard a lot of this, and I definitely appreciate the people here that understand the value of land and understand that there's no, I made good money in the city and I hated my life. There's no, money does not mean nothing to me. I'd rather stay poor and struggle every day and love my life. I guess that's where I'm at.
We need more young men like, we need more of you. Speak your piece, that's awesome. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Everyone, my name is Nelson Blythe. I'm from Uniontown, and I got to preface this by saying I just came from work, but I'm not representing the Fort Scott Police Department at this time. And I'm also District 1 County Commissioner, and I'm not representing the rest of the commission. There's the county councilor shaking his head in agreement. I'm just saying that I don't necessarily have a problem with any project like this. My main concern is property rights. If everyone that owned land that would be affected by it was for it, then I would be all for it. But I do not agree with eminent domain, and I will do everything in my power to stop eminent domain at all costs, even at great personal cost to myself. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Well, I'm kind of excited. I was hoping that people would show up and speak up, and boy, oh boy, we are. So I think it's a loud and clear message how the folks feel. Again, I don't know what the hell's really going on, just like most of you didn't. I kind of want to thank the mayor for allowing us to do it here at Mapleton, at the town, and use the community center. I think we have another person who would like to speak. Yes, sir? Okay, here we go. We got more.
I'm Mike Childs, on property in the floodplain actually today. So my place gets flooded a little bit every other year. This is more of a question, I guess, but if they're just wanting to put some dirt on a dam and just flood the same place that floods today without doing anything else, they're missing the boat, I think, because the trees all along the Little Osage are minimum 75 feet tall and more. And so if they don't clear cut all these trees, then the main channel of this lake will not be recreational. There'll be trees sticking up out of the water. And then the rest of the floodplain, like today, if they're just talking about 10 or 12 feet of water, you can't drive boats safely through that either. So if they're trying to make this a recreational lake, you're talking about millions and millions of dollars to dredge this out, move dirt, and make it deep enough so it can be a recreational lake. We don't know the details. So.
That's why we're here. We don't know. We need to know. So thank you. Well, I learned a tremendous amount today. Angel, golly, maybe the word's not feasibility study. Maybe we just need to know what the hell they want to do study. But she may be absolutely correct. This could be the federal government trying to influence somebody locally to do something that, maybe we shouldn't be doing. I don't know. I could just tell you, I'm the volunteer, and I'm learning so much today. I'm kind of excited. But by the way, for those of you who are here, I do have a facility down the road called Timber Hills Lake Ranch. Feel free to stop by. I think we have beer and appetizers out there, and you're all welcome. Your community folks, if you haven't been there, come by. It's like an open house. Come in, have a beer, have an appetizer. My family runs it, my kids do, and we'd love to have any neighbor. You're always welcome. For those of you who don't know me, like that young man, I don't know if he's still here, but the man that was up here talking, he doesn't know me, he's right. But I am very friendly in the community. If you're local and you come and knock on my door, you want to come fishing, you're absolutely, I'm gonna let you fish one of my ponds, and I think that's a neighborly thing to do. So just know that, and again, when we're done, feel free to come down, have a beer. Don't be shy, please. Yes, hi.
Hi. My name's Diana McKinney. My maiden name was Francis. My name's Diane McKinney. My maiden name was Francis. My brother is Bob Francis, and he's a landowner. And where our land is will be at the bottom of the lake. To give you a little perspective of our farm, it's been there 5 generations. It was homesteaded back in the 1800s when you just come out and homestead the land. We have 3 generations of people buried in Stevenson Cemetery. So personally, I want to know how they're going to move that cemetery. I want to know if it's just going to be headstones. Are they just going to, how do you unbury bodies that weren't even buried in a casket? To me, this is all relevant. I have I moved out of the state. I moved back to the state. I had plans to move to that farm and live in October. But due to all this, I'm moving there next week because I'm going to become a part of Bourbon County and work with everybody here, because this is why we're here. We're here to protect the land that we grew up on, and you can't put a number on the lessons that are learned there, the work ethic that's learned, the ability to sit in your house like the other guy said, and you don't have to worry. You can sit on your front porch at midnight and have a drink or whatever you do, and you don't have to worry about anybody coming near you, bothering you. It's safe, it's quiet, it's peaceful. The worst thing you got to worry about is a stray dog or coyote, you know? And by the way, yeah, that white dog, he lives where I'm at, and he's staying. Anyway, my question is, how do we find out who's going to do this feasibility study and where it's sponsored by? Where is this coming from?
Hey folks, I know you might be standing out there thinking, I want to do this for some silly reason. I'm a volunteer. I was set up, I haven't been set, I'm an executive. I don't do this stuff, okay? I was asked by county people to come here and talk. They all were coming, and yesterday I was told they weren't coming. So I'm here, okay? I'm here because I care about this community. I care about us. I care about everyone. Ma'am, if I could answer your question, I would look you square in the eye. I don't blow smoke up anyone's ass. Excuse my French. Anyone who knows me knows that. I just don't do it. It's not the way I live. I live under 3 principles: trust, respect, and integrity. TRI, that's how I live. So if I knew, I'd tell you. I don't know. And again, I'll just be clear. I'm just.
Now that we partially know what feasibility study is,
No, we can take it off the list. You guys want to take it off? We'll take it off the list.
Raise a hand if you want it off the list. Raise a hand if you want it off the list.
It's a con. I just learned a little while ago from Angel, it could be a con, so it's on the con list. Yeah. That could be the con. But we wrote that down. Or did you want to speak, ma'am? Here, we got another person. Wonderful. Step right up.
Hi, my name is Marks, and my husband and I have a farm that's in the impacted area. And and this is kind of a question, or if anyone has thought about this, but as of Super Bowl Sunday, when the news came out, whatever your land was valued at that day, is that it? Is that all you're going to make on your land? Because the last 3 years, land has been up 20% a year. And so if you try to sell your land, you have to disclose that this is a possible project. And if it's going to be in the works for 10 or 15 years, you might not be able to sell your land. I just want you to know that. Not that I want to sell my land, but I just want to retire here and add on to my barn. But I don't know if I should invest money into my barn if it's going to be underwater, taken by eminent domain. So I would encourage to tell our officials, we need answers quickly. Let's get it resolved and put to bed so we can go on with our lives and hopefully in peace.
Hey, here. Are you here, folks? We have more.
Thank you. First of all, I want to tell everybody thank you for showing up. Thank you for allowing your voice to be heard. Actually had one of the gentlemen here that's in this crowd call me about, 6:30 in the morning before I had coffee on a Monday morning, asking me what the bill is. You can fill in the blanks. And that bill, it is Senate Bill 497. I know some people have misquoted 417. There is a bill 417, but 497 is the actual bill. It went into Ag Committee on the Senate side. Senator Peck, not Representative Peck, but Senator Peck is the chairman of that. And many individuals had contacted me that day, which was a Monday, and I referred them to his committee because he has the power to kill the bill. and not have a hearing with it. I also reached out to another senator. Her name is Senator Straub. She's also on that committee, and I had asked her to not allow that to have an informational or a hearing. It's a 16-page bill. Really, nobody really knows who introduced it on the outside of the crowds. It was introduced by Senator Schallenberger and Senator Olson. And once they found out or heard from the public, they're like, yeah, we're not having that nonsense go on. As I mentioned, it's 16 pages. On page 5, line 38, it begins to talk about eminent domain, and it continues on page 6. As Ms. Katie Bowers had said, it does talk about a lot of tax. And again, the complaint has already been made that our property tax is out of the roof, and nobody can disagree with that. So, but it is dead on arrival. It will not have a hearing this year at all. The only way it will have a hearing in its form is if it's reintroduced next year. He's not running again. And that's the thing. If you hear about it, burn their phones up, email them, send them emails, make your voice heard, because this is the cart before the horse, right? This should have already been discussed, and this was some of the questions that were burning. I don't remember one of the gentlemen. He was with the water. Either which way, I don't. Yeah. He had called me and let me know stuff. You know, if we don't have your input, and it wasn't me. But and I'm not saying that to be defensive. What I'm saying is that it came out of nowhere, and that's
comes out of nowhere. Something comes out of nowhere.
Well, Trevor Jacobs. Yes, sir.
Somebody's making money off of it.
Well, and I mean, that's the oldest thing in the world. Follow the money.
And they're going to
follow the money.
Taxes to pay them.
I agree, and that's why with this hearing, to me, I mean, you look at how many hearings we actually have in Bourbon County. This is one of the largest ones I've been to. So honestly, this is a blessing to be able to have your voice heard and actually have it being recorded, actually being on record, and actually having openness to this. So that's good. So I would encourage you, continue. It's not a government, it's not a we the people of the government, it's the government of we the people. So you are the government. So, thank you.
Hey, can you say your name again and what you play in the state of Kansas?
My name is Trevor Jacobs, and I'm our 4th District representative. And for the record, I'm not running again, so you can find somebody else.
Well, thank you.
So when you were talking about burning them up, are we better off to email so there's proof or calls? Emails, they can delete an email as well, but
Okay, my name's Karen Stewart. I was not born and raised here, but my husband was. We're from Bourbon County. He was born and raised there. His family's from there. This would put his grandmother's place under water. I am from the Appalachian Mountains. Personally, we've dealt with the government. Anytime they come to say, we're here to help, run. I have property in Tennessee. They decided to build lakes in Tennessee, okay? So to benefit the people. Then came the $1 million homes. Then came the taxes and the insurances and the boats and the riffraff to servitude, the millionaires. And they have destroyed a way of life, is all they've done, and that's what they're going to do here, is destroy a way of life. Money is not everything. So you guys need to think long and hard before you do this.
Okay, well, golly, Trevor, I couldn't have said it better than you, and you're around. But there's a guy leaving our government that we really need in the government. Here's a guy standing in front of everybody and saying, "Hey, I'm leaving," but at least he's like this. At least he agrees. We the people should. So we the people have a voice, and we need to share that with our state leaders. So, and some of you out here might be sitting here saying, "I want a lake. I want a lake. I want a lake." We want a lake. We want water. If we need water, but it doesn't sound like we need water. It doesn't sound like we need a lake based on what we're hearing from some of these experts here. So who knows? I don't know until I see a real thing, and that's why we're here. And I can't thank you all enough for coming and voicing your opinion. And we have some more people want to talk. I'm gonna let them talk. And again, I'm getting close to the time. It's almost beer 30. Please, all of you, feel free to come by and have a beer.
My name's Kevin Sutterby, and I got a farm out here. My folks worked their fingers to the bone. Keep going. I want to know how many of the local farmers that owns land out there was contacted with this when it came in.
Nobody.
Because Doug and Carol's in it.
We're in it. No one
Deanna Waller's in it.
Yes.
Leslie and Matt Williams is in it. And you're going to cover up some of the best farmland in Bourbon County. And you're going to put cattlemen out of business. Ed's going to have to sell his cows. I'll probably have to sell my cows. And I'm sure Doug will have to sell his. Because we won't be able to provide feed for them. It just irritates the hell out of me. They told me I had to keep my cool, but I've stood here long enough.
I'm Doug Adamson. I'm a fourth generation farmer and rancher. Me and my wife Carol.
Put it closer to your face.
A little closer to my mouth. Is how would we replace all the money that is made farming, ranching, haying, deer leases? You know, I think if we build a lake and took 10,000 acres out, that would be a con. I would think. Look how much money Bourbon County would lose. Property taxes, real estate taxes, everything like that. And you can't put a price on 4 generations. I have kids. I'm planning on them getting the farm, so it'd be 5 generations. Thank you, gentlemen.
Always welcome. Thank you. Good to see you. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I kind of wish I'd have went before those two gentlemen because they said a couple of the things that I was wanting to put on the, yeah. My name is Marita Meeks.
There you go.
My mom was a Bruner. Those of you that know, and my mom was raised just down the road from the Francis home, and Smiths as well. My mom is 93 years old. She's got people in that Stevenson Cemetery that are over 200 years old. I'm going to guess they're going to have to contact next of kin, and I'm going to guess Deanna, she would probably be the oldest living next of kin of the majority of the people in that cemetery. So my mom has very mixed emotions about this. Yes, the family farm was sold years ago, which is going to be basically like the Francises and Smiths, and a lot of going to be part of the deepest part of that lake. Now, I have some concerns. If they want to build a lake to give us water, give us access to water, I'm kind of for that. I don't think we need one of this massive state, but this is also what I've been told, this is also going to cover up the Zini water plant that provides water for District 4, I believe, which I think District 4 feeds part of Uniontown, Bronson, and Blue Mound, I think. I'm not 100% certain on that. One of the things that I want to comment on is the fact that we don't have a con on here. I feel this area has got some of the best river bottom farming ground in multiple counties in this part of Kansas. And we're going to put that underwater. Now, if they want to go out there by Governor Davis's place where it's rocks and hills and try to dam up something over there,
give us a little watershed to where we can get water to this part of the county. I don't understand I do understand. I believe, this is my personal belief, I think they're wanting to make Kansas a tourism state. Mapleton, Zini, Blue Mound, whatever, we are going to become the next Branson, Missouri. Because like I've told my mom, when I was a kid, we knew what Branson, Missouri was because we grew up in the Midwest. Now you go over to France or England or anywhere and say something about Branson, Missouri, and they have a general idea where that's at. So that's my opinion, is what the big deal is we're going to take the Flint Hills, turn it into a national park, take the cattle out of production because the government doesn't want us eating beef because they fart.
That's right.
If we're going to put buffalo on it, we've already got a trail that started out in Colorado. The end of it is over in Missouri. Why not just build this and make Kansas a tourism state and not an agriculture state, and do away with farmers? Because I don't know, we can eat 3D steaks tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And bugs. But that's what I am. As long as you got that, we're going to take some of the best production land and put it underwater for some rich guy to take his boat and his illegal girlfriend out on it.
There. Thanks. Yes, sir.
Hello, I'm John Franklin. And, my wife and I just retired here December 2019, just down the road north of 65. And just got oh, I thought I was shouting. I knew you act like you're eating this thing. So at any rate, we just moved here 3 years ago. We're retired and planned on staying here for good. And now this definitely throws a little twang in things. We don't know whether, I don't know how many of you guys saw the documents that were going around showing like the proposed footprints for where the lake would be. All right, I think most of us have seen those. Then also the textual description, whatever the 7 mile by 3 mile area encompassed by Vagary on the north, but Highway 3, I believe 85 to the east, 65 to the south. And I'm not sure whether, because I have no way of knowing, no information, are they going to swallow the whole rectangle up? Are some people going to save their homes? Or even if it's not underwater, are we going to be, I mean, we don't know. And that kind of crap is ridiculous. You come out with something like this and you don't explain even the basics like that. Also, we'll talk about this too. Okay, I don't care if it gets defeated this year. I don't care if like it doesn't go at all. If they can keep throwing the spaghetti at the wall every damn year until people get tired and stop paying attention, like holy crap. Meanwhile, our properties are all devalued to the point we can't do anything until we know anything. That just sucks. So let's send some emails. I don't see any other way.
What was that, ma'am? Property valuation. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Devalue. Property devalue. Ma'am, I have no answers to any of that. I'm very sorry. Here. Again, as a volunteer to do this, I'm going to kind of say thank you all for coming. Here's what I'm going to write, because this is what I heard. Okay, this is what I heard from you guys. On pros, and this is what I'm going to write: N-O-N-E, none.
Thank you.
And then I'm going to do this as well. Okay, that's our community. Okay, we're a bunch of happy faces. We don't see any pros until we know what the hell's going on. And when we know what's going on, we're still going to say none. That's what I heard. And please don't shoot the volunteer. And you're all welcome to come for a beer, please. I'd love to be y'all. Yes, sir. Know who you're voting for.
How bad?